It's something we all try to avoid as runners, but sometimes have to deal with it, blisters or blue toenails. Did you know that more than 50% of all runners suffered from blisters during an event, and especially ultra-distance runners? So, it's getting hot out there and you start to sweat more while running, and therefore the risk of blisters is increased. Because blisters occur when your skin is damaged from friction or rubbing. And when your feet get wet and it's hot in your shoes, the friction or the rubbing in wet socks increases. The risk of blisters increases the longer we run. They measured during an ultramarathon of 225 kilometers in Spain during several stages how many of the participants got blisters. At the first stage, 31% of the runners had blisters. And this ran up to 71% during the last stage of the event. So, the further you run, the higher the chance is that your skin gets damaged or more friction occurs. Well, I got quite some history with blue toenails and blisters myself, unfortunately. Blue toenails occur when a blister forms underneath your toe bed and the toe bed above dies, and it takes quite a while before the blue or the black toenail grows out of the toe bed. Well, these are my own toes. As you can see, there are black spots on both of my big toes. They were quite black before, and it's even getting less. This is what happens when you get blisters underneath your toe bed. Let's first get the most obvious mistakes with blisters out of the way. As a beginner runner, I also made quite some mistakes with blisters. Once I get my first blister while running, I didn't know you shouldn't pop them. You should let the fluid stay on top of the blister and let it recover, because the fluid helps to recover the skin underneath. And if you pop the blister, you have the risk of getting an infection into the blister. Well, indeed, my toe got infected. It took me around 2 weeks to get rid of it and to start running again, and it was quite painful. I also had to take some medication for it. My whole toe started to swell and became red. So, don't pop your blister, but if you want to start running again with a blister and it does pop in the end, well, I would suggest you use some disinfectant afterwards to clean the wound. And the second obvious mistake is, don't do a longer run or longer tempos in new shoes. I made this mistake quite recent with a new pair of my Metaspeed Sky and I had to do some longer tempos in hot weather. Well, I thought, because it was already my second pair, I probably should not have any problems. Well, with new shoes, your feet need to get used to the shoe, your shoe needs to form to your feet. Well, I did get a blister after some long tempos and a long workout. That was quite stupid. You should first do some easy runs in a new shoe. Okay, we now went through the more obvious mistakes I made in the past. But what are good tactics to avoid blister in the summer heat? Let's dive into my best 3 tips. My first tip is to use good socks. In good socks, the friction should be less and also the sweat should be better discharged while you're running. I have several sock brands tested and there are 2 that I prefer the most. Well, the first is In Silence Socks. It's quite a well-known sock brand in the market. This is one of the In Silence socks. It's just the shorter version, also a bit lighter and thinner. During the summer I use this one. They also have a bit thicker version, which I prefer more in the winter. It's the longer version. So yeah, that's the first brand that I would recommend. The second one, I don't have a pair of here, they should run through my drawer, but that are the Swiftwick socks. Swiftwick is also a very well known running sock brand, and yeah, they perform also very well under hot conditions. So I would recommend these 2 socks. And if I don't buy these quality socks, I like to run in very thin socks because I start to sweat quite easy during my runs. Therefore I want to have very lightweight and breathable socks. My second tip is to avoid too big shoes or not fastened enough shoes. In the past I made a mistake with this as well. I had the right shoe size, but I didn't fasten my shoe enough during my long run. And I got a blister in the end. I didn't know why it occurred because I already ran quite a few miles in those shoes, but apparently I didn't fasten them well enough. In the beginning, when I started with running, I didn't fasten my shoes as much as I fasten them now. Because when you don't tighten enough your shoes, or your shoe size is too big, you have too much room in your toe box. And then you start to move in your toe box and friction occurs, and therefore, because of the friction and the rubbing, a blister occurs. And my third tip, don't keep running when you feel a niggle or some pain in your feet. This is also directly the hardest tip to apply because we tend to keep running even if you feel some pain or a niggle. Sometimes with blisters you don't feel anything and after the run you notice there's some pain or you have a blister. But if you feel already some friction or heat or pain during your long run, I would suggest you cut down your long run or take out your feet for several minutes. Well, you maybe in the end finish your long run, but if you do get a blister, you need to recover properly quite a while from it. And then, during the recovery phase, you can train, so you better can cut your long run a bit and hope the blister is minimal or you don't get a blister at all, and you can keep running the next week. Well, I hope this video was helpful and you know how to avoid blisters and blue toenails a bit better. And as always, if you still go out there today, have fun and get on the run.